All right, we're live now.
Okay, so good evening to everybody, and to our panelists, and to Prithvi, of course. Welcome to the first ever anniversary roundtable of Whose Question Is This? And if all goes well, we would well as much like to make this an annual tradition. We're in for a delightful approximately 75 minutes of talking, chatting, gossiping, and just talking about the honey trap that quizzing is. So much so that even with a global pandemic ongoing, we are just unable to fly away from it. Right. Okay. So, as for the panelists today, on one corner of this octagon, we have Abhimanyu Bhadoria, who is a PhD student. Yeah, wave, Abhimanyu. Yeah, please. You will have fans after this, Instagram followers and all. A PhD student in fluid dynamics, and according to himself, and this is not something which I have written, he's desperately trying to cling unsuccessfully to his past as a decent, half decent quizzer. So, yeah, say hi to everybody. Abhimanyu.
Hey everyone, please follow me. You can find
Yeah, link in the description.
link somewhere. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, in the next corner we have Pranavi, who is a recently graduated surgeon who is on a break, not from life, but just maybe from life itself for a break. Say hi, Pranavi, to everybody.
Hi everyone, that's me. That's my brand now. I'm on a break.
Yeah. Okay. So next we have Sumantrada, aka SSD, aka Central. I don't even know what is the etymology. Maybe we can talk about that later. Who is a trade compliance journalist at an MNC by profession right now. And he's interested in food, travel, and generally quiz by passion. And as you will see through the course of this video podcast, he's a cracker of bad puns by choice itself. So again, please say hi to everybody.
Hey, hi everyone. Yeah.
Next, we have Shrikant sir. Oh, I shouldn't have said that, sir. I'll try my best not to call him sir because it's something that we've been used to. He's currently working in the domain of market research and retail analytics, as a business head of a service startup. Again, Shrikant, please go ahead. Can't hear you.
Shrikant, you're in mute.
You're on mute. This is going to be.
Hey everyone, good to be here.
Next, we have Pranav Hari, who is in his 5th year of BTech MTech dual degree at, I think I've said something wrong, IIT Madras. Please be kind to him right now because life isn't. Because, Pranav, do you want to correct me on something there?
No. I thought like it's just 5th year of BTech. Then I was like, I'm like doing it next.
BTech MBA, dual degree. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And we also have Shreyashidi, who is, and I quote her, vegetating in the world of corporate communications and reflecting on the futility of it all. I mean, we are hoping for a far less philosophical conversation today at our end. But again, please say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here. And yes, the philosophy ends there.
Yeah. And of course, we have me, Abhinav Dhar, whose mom thinks he's a YouTube celeb just because she's seen her son's faces on a few posters. And Prithvi, whose mother forgets his name sometimes.
Yeah, my mother does not think I'm mentioning. Right.
Okay, so I think we can go ahead with the full knowledge that nobody here is wearing any full pants today. Prithvi, take the win.
It's been a while.
Okay, so we've seen quizzing move online in the past year, and with that, quizzing also gets a lot of hate. So what exactly is one positive takeaway that you had from quizzing moving online? Let's start with Shrikant on this one.
Yeah. As in the negatives are obvious, I suppose, and that was not your question, but just to get them out of the way, competitive quizzing has pretty much been killed for me. I hate to take part in any even mildly competitive quizzes these days, but the informal quizzes that I have amongst my friends have gone through the roof since the time pandemic has started, primarily because everybody's stuck at home. But a lot of newer quizzes have come in, a lot of people who never thought they will quiz in their lives have started doing that and started enjoying the hobby. And lot of new formats. I myself have, tried a couple of formats. I'm not sure. Central has seen for sure. I ran a lot of only connect quizzes for my friends. I ran a lot of Jeopardy quizzes for my friends. I get a kick out of setting questions, and I get a kick out of setting these kind of questions and getting these people to quiz. I think that's my biggest achievement in the pandemic. Uh, so that I think has been quite good. And the competition in general has dialed down, as in because I'm only exposing myself to these kind of quizzes, which leads to quizzing being a more relaxed activity. It's not as adrenaline pumping or as blood pressure rising as it was. Not that it was much back then, but it is a much more relaxed activity. I find myself unwinding quite a bit after taking part or conducting a quiz these days. Yeah, and generally, I've also seen a bunch of different new topics on which quizzes are being set. Maybe because it's easier to find a niche audience online than for a physical quiz, but that's a good thing as well.
All right. Anyone else wants to chip in?
Yeah, I agree with Srikanth. Yeah, like Srikanth, I also have had a lot of friends from school and college who have sort of never been exposed to quizzing much or like not really enjoyed it. And thanks to things moving on and people being stuck at home, I guess we've had everyone actually started to be every Sunday, and now it's like last year or so it has been like 1 or 2 Sundays a month. We have this discussion or like quizzes which are informal in nature, and also we've tried like connecting quizzes which are good camaraderie between people, and it's good fun actually. And in the sense that as in there is no like ultra competitiveness, as Srikanth mentioned, which we see amongst quizzers that is there. So that is fun, and there's a lot of banter going on, and people usually don't who may not turn up for quizzes in general in physical, turn up as in on online quizzes, get to friends and have banter, and yeah. So that is something that has been and good, interesting topics from say etymologies to puns, and then NSFW topics to everything. So we have had a huge variation of topics that way.
I think citing SSDs as internet connection, we can also tag our video as a mystery today, because a lot of it will be a mystery to a lot of our audiences. They'll have to fill in many of the blanks.
I just wanted to add on to what they said, because, and for me personally, I had the option of participating in a lot more quizzes than earlier, because I wouldn't be able to travel to quiz a lot. So, I mean, I had the option of participating in a lot more quizzes. Whether or not I did so is another question, but I at least had the option of participating. So there were like a bunch of quizzes I participated for the first time, and because earlier I wouldn't have been able to go to those cities. And also another thing that I think these online quizzes are great with is because you're doing it from the safety of your home, so it could be great in terms of like accessibility issues, people with accessibility issues, and for women, because it's not always like safety is not always given when you travel to participate in quizzes and stuff. So it's been great in that sense. And also, I think, I don't know if this is a like an outcome of quizzing having moved largely online in the past year, but there's been like a lot more meta narrative about quizzing. Like I feel like we're talking a lot more about quizzing, like in online spaces and all of that. So I don't know. That could be a result of a lot of quizzing, almost all of quizzing having moved online. So yeah.
I think talking about accessibility. Yeah, sorry, Prithvi.
I was saying like the one thing that I really hated in offline quizzes was quizzes stretching out till late and people basically pushing quizzes all around. That has completely stopped because now everyone starts at one time. So that is something I really love about recent quizzes.
Yeah, there is a lot of this, I think, I'm not saying that quizzes earlier didn't have a lot of choice, but the thing is that now that everything is accessible to everyone, for instance, I can attend a, Pune quiz circle quiz, boat club quiz, DQC quiz, just as well as I can, attend. So basically all the, quiz circuits are now available to me, irrespective of whether I am actually geographically located. So that is one thing that I think has been great. And because, so a typical young quizzer, so I'm here distinguishing myself from a young quizzer because I'm not. So a typical young quizzer is, very connected because, whenever I talk to, guys who are, really 24/7 into some quiz conversation or the other, so they are very aware of, what X or Y or Z has asked in a quiz, last weekend in some city, which I would not be clued into. So particularly when, say, I am setting questions or, in situations like that, the fact that I am not clued into quizzes happening everywhere, I don't get the sets in my inbox and stuff like that. So, now it has become, uh, I have, I mean, without even, making a great effort towards it, I have become part of, many such quizzing conversations where I have visibility into a lot of questions that are being asked. So that has been great. And also I echo what Pranavi just said, that, for women in particular, who are, actually intimidated by the amount of testosterone inside a physical space. It has been good to be able to quiz from your own room, from your own physical space, where everyone else is basically a window on your laptop screen or phone screen or whatever. So I think it has been the fact that that quizzing has gone online has been good for women in general. I think I would say that.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think apart from competitive quizzing, which is the only thing that has, I think, gone down, everything else about it has been positive. Like, the only reason you could say that it's not a good thing is if you're really into, I don't know, getting competitive. I mean, sure, most of us are, because it's in the end, it's a competition, but like, unless you're really into winning prize money or whatnot, it's all good, because then you don't really care. Like, when you're doing like a DQC session, for example, or you can see that someone's cheating, but you don't really care because you're not really there for that end goal of winning something. So it's more chilled and relaxed, and it's super nice. And for me also, for example, like, I would, until it's a morbid thought, but like, before Corona, I hadn't been to like a quiz in India for like 2 years essentially. So since I think DQC started doing sessions online, and then now almost everything is online. So it's super convenient and inclusive. Sorry, the other way around.
Yeah, to echo what Shreyashi said, I think in online quizzing, like the one I've been having occasionally with friends. So a healthy change I've seen is, say we have like 10, 12, 13, 14 people joining in. Often what happens is the gender ratio is balanced on the other side. So like, say 7, 8, 9 women joining, say the guys are less in number. So we'll never have in a physical quiz ever. So I think that is something that, as she said, the comfort of the home space, that is very
Safe space.
Safe space, yeah.
To me personally, I would say joining a quiz is like, in terms of like, in the morning I'll get a message from my friend saying, dude, like, there's a quiz, do you want to join? And I can say yes, and I can join, because like, there's no like pre-planning set, there's a quiz on they say, what is it? Yeah, July 1st. So I'll have to do a lot of scheduling, like, okay, should I miss this class, or should I can open my college, my Google Meet will be there, and I can mute that and I can attend the quiz. So like, the multitasking aspect of quizzing, I think is like the best in online. So yeah.
I mean, I've heard people giving exams while they're during the quiz.
And last Saturday, there was the BCQC food quiz, right? And Rishi, so my friend Rishi, he was doing it. and he told me that he wants like if I'm free I should do it with him. But in my head I got the dates mixed up. I thought it was on Sunday rather than a Saturday. So I woke up on a Saturday at around 9:30, 10, and I see his message on my phone. He's like, dude, the quiz is right now. So I basically got up, like came here, and I was in the quiz.
Same happened with me for intro bank also. Like they call me at 10:30, like 5 minutes later the quiz was started. I just woke up, I didn't take a bath, nothing. So all these things, all these prior rituals you have to do before you go to a
See,
quiz.
one of the
Although, like,
advantages
taking a bath
is in
not
online
really,
quizzes, nobody cares if you've taken a bath.
yeah.
I assure our audience,
These things are
everybody has
really
taken a part today.
I almost want to say I haven't, just to piss people off.
This is a nice change from saying physical quizzes, like ending a prelims at one campus in Delhi to like say switching from one Zoom call to another Zoom call in another quiz. So that is something that happens on weekends here, right?
And you can
I heard
be
of
quizzing in 3 different cities on the same day pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard of just like multiple quizzes. Like it's like like you'll have 3 quizzes different. I've heard of stories where like they had different continents also. I think that usually involves people who are in the US and they want to alternate. Like those guys are like extremely like dedicated towards this.
You need 3 screens. You can do 3 quizzes simultaneously if you want, right? Like one headphone here, one headphone here, and the third one on the other side.
I just want to like butt in and say, the fact that we are, the fact that not bathing is not a concern in online quizzes is sort of a reflection on how much that has been an issue in in-person quizzes, especially for others. So like, I would just like to, acknowledge that. Like, that is not something I miss about in-person quizzes. Like, absolutely not.
+1.
All right, Abhinav, you want to move to the next question?
Yeah, I think that's a good segue to moving on to the next question. Our next question to everybody is, what do you consider your favorite genre in quizzing? And what is it that really captures you to it, right? And I think we'll start with Sriyoshidi this time.
Oh, okay, I am absolutely the wrong person to start with in this particular question. Because there is something, an old-fashioned word called knowledge base, right? So my knowledge base is actually very limited. So I move around in a very tiny circle. So the thing is that the other thing is, by genre, do you mean format of quizzing or do you mean subjects?
Subjects, like
subjects, right? Yeah so
music.
Then I've understood it correctly. So the thing is that, there are very few subjects where, when I used to quiz in college or school, I used to think, okay, I know a fair amount about literature or, sports even. But now I am completely out of my depth in any subject. I mean, even a subject that I have done my graduation in, which is literature. So, I mean, everybody around me knows more about literature than I do. So I can't even say that I have a favorite genre. So I just, go into quizzes hoping that, something will strike some, or, spark of some memory connection and I will be able to pull an answer out. So I don't really have favorite genre, but I like questions about literature and Indian films, and nobody asks questions about Hindi music anymore, or I would have loved to say Hindi music. And to an extent, sports, but I dare not say it because I stopped following sports seriously about 2 decades back, I think.
Yeah, to echo Shreyasi, like for me, like my favorite genre would be like Slumdog Millionaire type quizzes, in the sense that everything is connected to something which happened in your past or you
Life and Times of Pranav Hari. Life and Times of Pranav Hari quizzing.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So like there's the very fact that I started quizzing was the fact that I didn't have a particular topic which I really love. Like even like, for example, like a lot of people put in their bios, like their interests include sustainability, something they'll put but I can't really put that, because if I start putting, I'll pigeonhole myself to some particular topic which I can never master. Like, you can never master a particular topic in spite of how much you claim to love it. But that's my personal philosophy. So I think, yeah, Slumdog Millionaire types, where you met some person and he said something, she said something, and then that's how you get to know. I think that's my favorite genre of cuisine. I think that's because it works in favor of me. I think that is the reason why I love it. But yeah.
So I
Yeah,
kind of
like
have like the complete opposite philosophy of that. My favorite questions are from topics which I have no clue about. Like I love sports quizzes, but I've never really attended one. I'm just fascinated by how people make them because I'm a very casual sports viewer. So I'm just very interested in knowing facts rather than
I
being
think
very
most of
good at
us
it.
joined quizzing with that thought process in mind, right? That the innocence which was there in the first year of quizzing, that I want to go into quizzes where I don't know much. And I think most of us would have joined quizzing or being attracted to quizzing because of that aspect,
I
as
think
Prithvi
that's
said.
also because most of you were actually good at quizzing. I was never really that competitive, so I just didn't get that deep into winning and everything. I was just there for the quizzes itself.
like Pranav said, no, I totally get that. I'm scared to say this is a favorite topic of mine, because I mean, I don't say it otherwise also, because I am saying, like, if I say I like cities or something, then I'm just scared, terrified that somebody will come and like test my knowledge on the topic, and I'm like, no,
Oh God.
I'm just not going to say anything. So, like, and in quizzes, it actually happens, right? If I say I know X and I'm supposed to, like, do well in a quiz that's on X. So, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So
see,
it's like that meme format where you say, like, you call yourself a quizzer, name every business,
Yeah.
something like that.
Life becomes a mastermind hot seat pretty much.
no, but Pranav, that's how.
Topic.
No, but that is kind of how business quizzes actually work, right? Which is why I never really
Absolutely.
got
I
into the
totally
whole-
agree.
Yeah, like that is kind of how they work. Like they have some, I don't know, Excel sheet, and then I have no idea. So, like, yeah, I just never got into the whole thing. So yeah, so I'm really scared to do that. But what I really like, even though I completely suck at it, is quizzes that got to do with art, because I suck at it. And no, I mean, I cannot. So one thing I've never been able to do is, to actually sit and prepare for a quiz. So back in the day when quizzes happened in person, like people used to prepare for quizzes. That was a thing I realized, like, I don't know, man, like many years into competitive quizzing, that, oh, okay, people actually do prepare for quizzes. So, and yeah, so art is very nice in the sense that even though I don't prepare for it, the questions are so nice that it's just so lovely, right? Like, even if you don't know anything about the subject, you've got a new painting that you can go and look up now, and it's never not fun, right? So yeah, I would say, like, I love art quizzes, but I totally suck at them.
Yeah, as in, I don't really have a favorite for genre of quizzes. I have a few no-go genre of quizzes for sure. For example, a conventional business quiz is something that I would never attend. Although, looking at my MBA background, a lot of people ask me for those kind of quizzes, and I keep refusing them. That being said, there's this Flames quiz that DQC does. I think Arjo came up with it. And Arjo sometimes extends himself and puts a lot of extra topics in it. But if you ask me, Flame stands for food, fashion, literature, arts, music, movies, entertainment, and sports.
How
And
is it not a general quiz then?
I like to call this a good things in life quiz. We are not we are only talking
A good
about,
label.
yeah, we
So
are only talking
everything
about
except biz.
things.
Yeah.
No,
So
when you said
questions on
Flames,
genocide is strictly forbidden.
Unless it's been made into a movie.
Yeah.
Right.
so when you
But
said
yeah, as
Flames,
in,
people just went into that Flames thingy that kids do, and I'm like, wow, okay.
Exactly.
So
I was
that's
going to say that.
I think that's how those quizzes should be
is
decided
it
on
about
type rates.
anything, kya now?
I just like to call it good things in life quiz. And I come back after attending such a quiz with a lot of, to watch, to read, to listen recommendations. I like that. And another genre that I unfortunately never got to participate in, but I saw a few quizzes on SlideShare and so on, are regional quizzes, like Telugu quizzes for me. A deep Telugu question would never find space in a general quiz, even in translated, because that is something that is very specific to that culture and that region and that language. And I wish there were more such quizzes. I wish there's more such audience. And that is something that would definitely be cool.
But this in the last 1 year and 6-7 months that we have crossed, you've seen that there have been these Tamil specific quiz or Tamil entertainment.
I haven't come across any Telugu one so far, but I've seen Bengali, Bangla quizzes. I've seen long back also. Even KQ during KQF also there's a Bangla quiz, if I'm not wrong.
Right. Yeah. I think that India Wants to Know group.
Yes,
I think there is one Telugu film set in that one.
Yeah.
So they're doing all four southern states.
Yeah, Telugu one, I think it's in 2 weeks. I bought a ticket for that. I really like those quizzes as well. I just like, that's like a weekend afternoon. Just, I don't answer anything. I don't participate in anything. I just play it on TV and watch it as a show.
Along the same lines as art, I also like travel and living quizzes for almost the same exact reasons. Just like if you don't know anything, then you just found like a new cool place to like check out and potentially mark on, I want to go there if I ever get money. Which is always
want to go when exactly? I mean, are we ever going to go outside?
So that's why it's potential, right? I mean, I think there was a DQC travel and living quiz, which was super fun 2 weeks ago. They're just like, this is a nice place. Kabhi, I mean, in the future, in 2-3 years, 10 years, who knows when.
Right now, that's all the travel that we are able to.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, it's the same. I feel that's the same with art quizzes. Like we probably can't see, or most of us can't see, for example, the Mona Lisa in person, or it's a generic example, but we probably won't see.
Mona Lisa was like
an insignificant
person.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind. But like what Pranavi said, that there's so much art out there, and same with music as well. That you can, like, for me, it's a lot of good introduction to things that I've never seen, heard, or been before. It just goes into a bookmark, not as a quiz question, but as, this is a cool thing to do or place to be.
Same for movie quizzes. I think there are few movie quizzes recently which have been reward you for like watching movies and not say mugging, say who won the Oscar which year or who won this award. I think that is fun. That movie lovers tend to like those quizzes. I think one KQF quiz, I think Shreyoshidi was also there. I think which was a very enjoyable fun quiz, which had a lot of questions on I think what happens next, or say what happens after this. So like if you've seen those movies, you would love to answer those questions, and you like that fact. Also, I think recently there was this QFI quiz also, which had a lot of video questions on that on movies, which was again I think rewarding people who are watching quizzes. So that is something fun. So it's not like you're preparing for quizzes, but like things you enjoy doing, say listening to music or watching movies, and if a part of that comes in a quiz, it's nice to answer those. Like, but yeah, just nice.
So, like, to echo what Srikanth sir said, sorry, excuse me, yeah. So what he said was like, so an extremely very sub niche quiz would be like, say, like Madras quiz. So I'm from Chennai, so a quiz on Madras is probably like I think I can say like that's my most favorite genre, because it's something I don't need to really prepare on, because I've been living in the city, so like something which I experienced. So again, going back to the Slumdog Millionaire thing, like I think there are other quiz clubs also which conduct, say, Mumbai specific quiz, Bangalore specific quiz, Calcutta.
Some quizzes used to do a Delhi quiz 5-6 years ago, I think, at least, or more.
Yeah, so the good thing about Madras quiz is like, since we celebrate Madras Week every year, so it definitely there is a quiz every year on that. So I'm waiting for August to come so that I can participate in one.
I think the other thing about some of these genres is, I mean, for example, art. I got into art only because of quizzing, and that helped me with my history also. As in, to learn about history through something which is visually depicted there, right? It makes it much more easier to get into that. I think an art subject like another, again, travel and living, as everybody is saying. I think everybody loves to travel, and you go to a place, you see something, and you're like, yeah, this could again feature in a quiz, or the vice versa. That you have seen it in the quiz, then you want to go again, right? And I think when life and quiz intermingle pretty much, I think that is when the most, I mean, जायका आ जाता है जिंदगी का pretty much.
Like, I mean, Abhinav, to add on to what you said, no, like this learning history through art, that's like really, really fun. I mean, I did not realize how much fun it could be. And recently I sort of got into art and the French Revolution, and like I'm seeing stuff like I've never seen it before. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. And this is also the kind of stuff that, you know, you feel sort of enriches your soul, if I can use that phrase. I mean, I don't know. It sounds very Deepak Chopra-y, but that's not what I mean. But it's sort of, you know, it makes you feel nice inside. So art, yeah.
Yeah, talking about the French Revolution art, actually, that reminds me of a college project that I did. So we had to. So this was a HR class.
An actual college project, you know,
Yeah.
told me.
Yeah.
I remember this from a college project or a school project.
Yeah. So this was last year itself. I mean, a year and a half maybe. So I showed Liberty leading the people, and I explained the whole art. So that was, I mean, that was like, I mean, people who don't know anything about art, and I explained the whole art scene. And after that, my, I mean, the other team members, group members, they took over the subject matter. But that was such a fun thing to do. And without quizzing, obviously, I mean, you don't get an idea, because most people were talking about films. Yeah, I mean, mostly films or short films or something like that. But we went on, and I had to convince everybody to get on board on that.
I'm just curious, what was the subject matter? I hope you did not do a Liberty leading the people marketing project.
No, I said, no, it was not a marketing project. It was something to do with HR. I don't remember the exact subject. I'll send the
leadership skills or something.
Probably.
The point of the project got lost.
Was a quiz called.
No, actually, we did well in that project.
Everybody started discussing art and they forgot what the actual project was.
No.
No, but what Pranavi just said, I mean, it kind of reminded me of this, you know, huge difference that I find between, you know, say when we used to quiz in college, you know, in the 90s, and, you know, internet had not come in, you know, in a big way then. So, you know, art was still one of the major things that questions used to be set on. And the thing is, art was a subject of trivia for most people, right? So you would have a painting and you'd say, okay, this is a Delacroix painting, okay? And then you would try and figure out, okay, Delacroix means, you know, there will be certain, you know, strokes and, you know, predominance of certain colors and figures will be like this. So you did not have, so unless you were a regular in, say, a British Council library or, you know, some other, you had access to, you know, books on that. That would be the end of your, you know, knowledge about Delacroix. And even if you wanted to know more about it, you would have to, for instance, for an engineering student, let's say, you know, that is where it would pretty much end. So it would get stuck in that circle of trivia. Whereas now this whole, you know, domino effect thing that, you know, you start with a Delacroix and from there you know, you go on to Google and then there is this whole world that bursts open for you. And you know, hop from one to the other, and you, in 2 hours time, you have known more about art than you could expect to learn in, say, even a month in, say, 1994. So that I find, I mean, you know, while I have lots of complaints about, you know, how technology has, you know, sort of screwed up our lives, but I think in this way, there has been a democratization of knowledge in a way that has been completely brilliant.
I think that's the best part of setting quizzes. Like when you start setting a quiz, you start reading something and you end up like learning so much more, something completely relevant to that topic, which is very, you gain a lot of things from this. So yeah, that is something I really love about setting quizzes. Yeah.
All right, I think we should move on now. So we've all attended a fair share of quizzes at times. So what is something that really irks you or annoys you in a quiz? It could be online quizzes, offline quizzes. And let's keep Googling aside for this question.
Block hints.
Okay, everybody, go for it.
Block hints. Like it's really annoying, man. It's
Yeah.
just it's infuriating to me when that happens. It's like
I don't even understand why quizmasters ask, because there will invariably be somebody who will block.
And
If
also,
you want to give a hint, go ahead and give it.
yeah,
stopping
honestly,
you?
that should be the rule. Like, if you want to give a hint, do it, or like just in the question add all the hints. Also, people do it like, and really annoying people who do it when they have no idea of the answer and they'll still block hints,
Yeah.
just so the other person doesn't get it, which is just it really grinds my gears.
Yeah. Also, lifting paragraphs from like Wikipedia or blog articles, like long paragraphs, 20, 30 lines of like
Walls of
font
text.
size 7, which you like give up on reading after like 2-3 lines.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of that stuff is completely irrelevant to the question of
Exactly.
a lot of times. Like that whole paragraph you could ignore, and the last question will be, who is the Prime Minister of India? Like, why did I read the whole text for that matter? Yeah.
I think that has probably led to the term of keyword quizzing. People just moved on the last line and see what is required and just answer it.
So you have to be a good strategist in order to participate in quizzes now, because you have to know how to read a question. Because you can't follow the regular format of reading where you start reading from the top and go down to the bottom, because by the time you're in the 4th line, 5 teams have pounced already and you've not even come to the crux.
That's even worse for buzzer quizzes, where people just and go for it.
So this would happen.
For me, that's an issue only in buzzer quizzes. I don't really care how many teams are bouncing. I'll read my slide the way I read my slide.
I think buzzer quizzes really irk me in the first place, so that's not a problem.
I don't know if it's a very unique thing or not, but like when I'm reading the question and the quizmaster is also reading with me, and I have a different reading speed when compared to the quizmaster, that really like jars me, because should I listen to the question?
Annoys me. I mean,
should I listen to the exactly.
Agree.
I think pedantic quizmasters are my biggest pet peeve, who insist on a certain exact phrasing of the answer, or who don't really care whether you know it or not. What they care is what exact thing you are writing. That really irritates me. I tend to give out points much more liberally, and I've been told to stop that, but that is just something that I think we all can live without.
Yeah, I call this the Queen Elizabeth II syndrome. So unless you've written second, they will not give you points.
So like Pranav said, no, I have a similar pet peeve in the sense that, some text is on the slide and then the quizmaster is sort of reading what's on the slide, but not really. He's going to give like a couple of more extra hints in whatever he's saying, like a tiny hint that would probably point you to the answer, but that's not on the slide. And that's fucking annoying, man. Like, I usually tend to tune out quizmasters who read out the questions and I focus only on the slide. And then there'll be like a bunch of people who are like, oh, what do you say? What do you say? And I hate that. Like, either put it on the slide or just don't. Or, say like, hey, I'm going to give a hint, X. Like, don't just casually give a hint as you're reading out the question. That's, I hate that.
The flip side is when you're trying to QM, what happens is like you just don't want to just blindly read the question. So then that it becomes very monotonous. So probably I think the reasoning behind a quizmaster to read and probably add some more thing is like they're actually doing some work rather than just reading the question. I think that probably is the mindset behind like adding few hints when they're trying to QM. I understand, like from a participant, it really annoys me. Like, yeah, like, should I concentrate on the text or should I listen to your, like, I can't do multiple things. It's tough.
So like Shumantro, my pet peeve is also really long questions. I think one of the things, the bouncer rule in cricket, there should be a word limit rule in quizzing. No question should be, you should be given, 100 words is the max that you can go, but 60% of the question should be within 80 words. I actually follow that in whatever quiz I set. 75 words is the max you can go for 60% of the questions. So 4 or 5 questions can be long because, you know, there are stuff that you need to tell. And if you can, you know, spare a little bit of effort in the crafting of a question, then you can actually, I mean, it is possible to, you know, this whole thing about Googling that we break our heads about, you know, you can actually make things difficult to Google, if not impossible. It is possible if you take some time in crafting your question. So I don't think, I mean, the moment you start picking up stuff and dumping from Wikipedia or whatever article that you've read, you are actually making it easier for people to Google and then blaming quizzers for Googling. I mean, it's now become second nature for quizzers to do that. So, I mean, let's not beat around.
Actually, a lot of times, I agree with Shreyas. Sometimes what happens is not everyone has that gift of the gap to like frame questions in such a way that it becomes ungoogleable. So that is, I think, some constraint that some people have. Yeah, and also I think one pet peeve I have seen is like people adding a picture to a question and saying that this picture won't help you. Then why put it there? And don't concentrate on the picture. Put something that is helpful.
It's pretty.
Or don't put anything at all. Yeah. That is
also to add on to the length of the questions piece, as in apart from just the length of it, I think not enough quizmasters are conscious of the readability of slides. Just break text into paragraphs, have proper indentation, have bullet points. Those things matter a lot.
Yeah.
If you see a wall of text on a question slide, it just saps all energy out of you. But just by having basic editing of the PowerPoint, you can make a question a lot more readable. And that brings me to another pet peeve, which is quizmasters not putting in effort. Like they think that making the question is enough, or sometimes even not that. You see, I have attended quizzes where everything is very disorganized. Questions have errors in them. Especially if 2 or 3 quizmasters are collaborating, then one slide is Comic Sans 8 font and another slide is Times New Roman 14 font, and all kinds of crap is happening, and nobody has any clue what is happening. So that is something that should be avoided. There's no two ways about it.
That even happens for one quizmasters also. Like sometimes a quiz being held by one quizmaster who has one paragraph in Kandara, one paragraph in Calibri, one paragraph in Arial. As in, what?
That usually happens
if you're copying and pasting without changing the formatting, that's always going to happen.
Yeah. I think that's a cringe right there.
Guys, whatever Shrikant just said, can you just, clip this out and just make it a pinned post somewhere and just put it up for everybody to see? Yeah. I mean, this contains everything.
I'm calling it like a paragraph of text without any formatting is a hate crime. Comic Sans questions, hate crime. Questions that run to more than 2 slides, hate crime. All of these are hate crime.
Pune style. Justify. Yeah.
I add another. So all the questions which have like, they basically copy from Wikipedia, remove all the proper nouns, replace it with XYZ, and then you have to do, not only you have to figure out the funda first, now you have to do some family relation matching, like like X is related to Y, so I want Y's second cousin's brother. So like, I'm not in for a cat visual reading.
Start drawing a diagram, family tree.
I've seen questions in which
network structure only I do.
I think questions in which it's been A to G or something.
This is called Pune styles usually, right? Hate it. Absolutely hate it. Like, I don't want a word soup. I don't want to learn the alphabet.
Yeah. In a Pune style question, you will have people scoring either 80% or 20%. You won't have anybody in the middle, because either you get everything or you don't get anything at all.
It's just really infuriating. Yeah.
And then of course differentials come in. 120 points for a question after you have been fighting for 10 points.
Oh yeah.
And also, it's like, if you don't get it, it gets really like annoying and irritating.
Yeah, those rounds are really bad.
You're staring at a wall of text with A to Z, and you have like no idea what is what.
You forget your alphabet.
Exactly. Like, and also,
often the answer is not exactly A or Z, or it's Z something related to. So it's like you have to find that, you have to, and then it's too much.
Yeah,
To be the
about
contrarian in the group, I don't really mind AZ quiz format. I personally enjoyed whatever little I have seen of that format, but it seems to be quite hated.
So actually, somebody told me recently that it is the XYZ thing is actually a way out of framing long questions,
That's true.
because in order to, instead of saying that X or Y, you have to put say 5 or 6 words to explain who X is or what X is. So if you just say X, then you just manage with one letter of the alphabet.
I don't mind
And what Sumantra just said, it just reminded me of one particular guy who was a complete madcap in college. So he set one quiz. It was a general quiz where every slide had either a picture of Ursula Andress or Bo Derek, because he said at least even if people don't get the answers, they can look at the pictures and feel good about it.
I think quizzes should also, being consistent, scoring consistently. So there are if the first 5 rounds have 10 points every question, and you have a 6th round which has 100 points every question and a minus 50 or something. So some team which was lagging far behind. While it's romantic to have team which is finishing last suddenly score 100 and win, but it should be you should laud consistent scoring. So I think those discrepancy in outlier scoring rounds should be cut off so from quizzes. So we should have similar rounds, scoring rounds, not 500 points on a team.
So disclaimer, whatever we are mentioning here. Yeah.
No, you should just call those rounds for what they are. They are lottery rounds, literally a lottery. Yeah. There's a very fun SFF quiz that I occasionally attend, and then it has a themed round every time. But it's a very niche theme, and it's called a lottery round, and it's a very informal quiz, so it's all good fun. But
it makes for good viewing, but it is not good for the participants. It's like you have lost 3 lakh 20,000 whatever.
So the disclaimer is whatever you guys have mentioned. I think whenever I've set a question, I've probably done that. So I just want to put it out so that I don't feel
after you have had 2 years of quizzing experience, then it's okay. I mean, before that you can do whatever you want to. I think after that there should be a cap with all of that. I think a couple of things that I had as a pet peeve, people who pounce uncivilized. I mean, guys, please, there are other people. Let us focus on the quiz, man. And the other thing is QMs who say that the next question is very easy. I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on you. Maybe you don't know the guy. I mean, you don't know Sachin Tendulkar, who Sachin Tendulkar is. But he'll be like, hey, this is a very easy question coming up. Everybody, you're like, wow. And then
teammates do this. Teammates this is your domain. Yeah, this is your question. I'm not thinking about this.
Oh yeah. That is very irritating. Yes.
For the first one, I remember Shresh, when he was doing a few quizzes, he introduced this thing called uncivilized pounce, where if you pounced with your mouth, or if you said pounce instead of raising your hand, you wouldn't get it. I was gone. That's not your pounce anymore.
Or there are more negatives for that question.
Yeah, something like that, exactly.
Sai Ganesh also did it for Bob Ki Kamai.
Yeah. So it's a very good idea, I think. It's just because also along with blocking hints and stuff, once you're reading the question and someone else pounds, it really kind of breaks your concentration sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Strict clampdowns are not necessarily the solution. It's as in, I would hate it if a rule is framed against it, but I would definitely want quizzes to be more conscious. And
yes, I mean that's just my point. It would be nicer to be able to read a bit.
Last pet peeve would be a quizmaster trying to explain, giving a hint after they have taken a bounce.
Yeah.
That is a cardinal sin.
That's a no-go complete.
I mean, that's that's unfair. That's actually just plain.
Add that to the
there should be a quiz bail somewhere then to put people in for all of these.
Yeah. We'll have quizzing commandments by the end of this.
Yeah. So, some free college student will form something out of this. I think we can move on to the next question. And I think we'll start with Abhimanyu for this. So, some of your favorite answers, memories of some of your best answers that you've given, or something which you go back to that answer sometimes in whatever, in a conversation or something.
So I have two or three, I think. They're mostly there, I think, because of one, when the answer came, and then two, because of how I knew the answer. So both of them were at like Play Evil Music Biz quizzes. I think one was at Crucible and one was at Quiz on the Beach or something. And both of the questions I knew, and it was towards the end of the quiz, so they kind of helped us win and stuff. But both of these questions I knew essentially from something I'd read in school. Like, so between reading this thing about this thing sometime in school and like 4 or 5 years down the line, I'd never encountered this thing in a quiz or anywhere else. And then I see this in like a really important part, important or whatever, significant moment, and I'm just like, aha, okay, this is my time to shine. So one of them was in Crucible, and there was something about, so it was a Bruce Springsteen album cover essentially. So it was an album cover of Bruce Springsteen. I forgot what album it was, and I think the funda essentially, the answer to that basically was the fact that it was the first time, or at least in the US or something, that an album had been released on a CD. So they were moving from vinyls and cassettes and stuff to CDs, and this was the first time that a major song had been released on a compact disc. So I remember reading about this in like 10th grade or something, from somewhere, I don't know where. And another one was, there was a photograph of a hearing aid shop essentially in Dublin. And it was called Bona Vox. That was the name of the shop. It means good sound in Latin. And the funda was essentially the fact that supposedly, and I don't think this is an actual, I'm not sure how true this is, but that's what the quiz master accepted. And the funda was that this is how Bono gets his name, evidently. He was walking down the streets of Dublin and he saw the shop and he's like, good voice. That's what I'm going to call myself. And so again, this was also something I read when I was back in school, and turns up in a quiz like 6 years later or something, which I found super. It was just like a good moment of, okay, like, it's not all prep, because this wasn't really prep as such, right? It wasn't something I prepped for biz quizzes.
I think like revenge, a good answer is something which is served cold. The longer you hold on to that and you answer it, I think the better it becomes.
Agree. 100%.
And that sensation of, you knowing an answer and then waiting almost with bated breath for it to come across to you across 5 teams.
Yeah.
And, almost praying that, there should be no one in those teams who know the exact answer. So that is that, really, few seconds of complete agony. If you know an answer and it has to come to you after 4 teams.
And I think the more teams that don't know the answer, again, that also like elevates your high, because you're just like.
I think the most satisfying answers are the ones which say if you're team 8 and it comes from team 1 to you, like passes all around the table and comes to you. I think those are the most satisfying answers that nobody else knows. Everyone got a chance. I think that reminds me for an answer. Okay.
So to internally console me, what I think is like, I just say like, this person definitely knows the answer. That's not going to come to me. I keep telling that so that like, in case it comes, it feels really nice, or else like I just try to decrease my expectations so that
this is like telling your parents I'm going to fail, and then you pass the
So I was saying, so once it happened, I think it was in Heritage College, Calcutta. So I think for second year of quizzing. So there was a audio question. So someone, I think, could see a baritone voice. I think it was very some gentleman talking. So you had to identify who was this person talking about, some play or something. So it came around the table. So I was telling my teammates that I think I've heard this voice somewhere. I couldn't recall, but I think let me start writing down names. It'll fit. So I started writing down Nasiruddin Shah, Om Puri, etc., etc. And then it suddenly struck me, this is probably Girish Karnad. So as in, what happened? It came to us and it turned out to be right. Interesting thing is, I think 1 month or so back, I think I didn't know about Girish Karnad before. I think 1 month or so back, I saw some interview of him on TV. So I sort of saw him talking, giving an interview or something, talking. So I think his voice sort of stuck in my mind. So I realized that I had this weird thing that if I see someone talking, say for like 2-3 times or something, I think if I hear their voice somewhere randomly, I visualize who that person is talking. So I think that helped me to get an answer. And sometimes it helps. It may not work all the time, but sometimes I sort of figure it out. So that is something, a good memory.
That is Central's quizzing superpower.
So yeah.
I actually have, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that I actually have a list of best answers that I never got to give. Which is, maybe Pranavi will be able to relate to it to an extent. But if you are a girl in a quizzing team of, say 3 boys and a girl, there is a great, especially if it's a team that you have, you have teamed up with these guys for this quiz, and it's not like a set team or anything. So it is, more likely than not that some, because we don't come up with answers really, we come up with guesses, right? So, very rarely do we have 100%, conviction about an answer. So
Like,
it's most I think it might be
I just want to say that, every day I pray that God give me the confidence of a male quizzer attempting a guess that he's absolutely not sure of with 100% certainty. Well, I would be like reasonably certain. Okay. So I'll be like, maybe is this, but it's just so much harder for us to be assertive. And I have no idea why they are so assertive. Like, based on what? And then the question would have passed me if I've gotten it wrong, and I'll be like, dude, you sounded so sure. I'm like, no, I was just guessing. Like, bro, I had the right answer.
Well, there have been occasions when, I have been, so when we gave a wrong answer, which was not my guess, but my guess happened to be correct. So, I have been told, why didn't you say it with more conviction? So,
oh my God,
this is something that I think is a common problem, and there is a gender angle to it which I cannot explain. And there have also been cases. I will give you an example right now. So there was this ruckus format quiz where, it is one of those quizzes that happens in Bangalore, where after the 50% halftime mark of the quiz, the teams become, one half becomes one team, the other half becomes another team. So what happens is that both teams become almost on similar points, right? So it came to on the last question, both teams were tied. So that last question would have decided who wins. And there was a negative, as in if you don't get the answer, you get negative. And the question was about an Audrey had. It was about what fashion trend did she start in whatever she's wearing in the picture, and which film was it, okay? So I said, with my typical lack of conviction, that it is the boat neck, and the film is, I think, Sabrina. So very experienced, established quizzers. So they asked other male quizzers in the team, and they were not sure. So that our team decided not to give an answer so that we would not get a negative. Okay. And it passed to the other team. They said Botnik and Sabrina, and won the quiz. So this is something that I have now sort of resigned myself to it. And so I have told myself that, I have to be more, need to have more conviction, or I shouldn't be cribbing about it.
Or find a good team and stick to it.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's another thing, right? That's another thing that I think the gender angle comes with. It is harder for women quizzers to find like a consistent team that sticks, right? And the network is smaller. It's just harder for a woman quizzer to find a consistent team that, obviously, even if you have a team, like the teammates may drop out due to a lot of reasons, like they may not be able to make it. So I don't think most quizzers don't have one team, with the exception of like the absolute cream. Like they have like a pool of people that they normally participate with, right? So it's just, I think, harder for men to have that kind of a pool.
Have you ever been in a situation where you have come to a quiz, but you just said, okay, this theme or this quizmaster is interesting, makes interesting questions, so I'll go. And you don't have a team, so you just go and whisper in the quizmaster's ear that, I'm looking for a team. So he announces that, okay, there are, XYZ, 4 people who are looking for a team. 1 is a girl, 3 are boys. I will guarantee you here, the 3 boys will get picked up first by different people looking for team members, and the girl will be the last one to be picked up. So it is just one of those.
It's like, in the playground where they select teams, like, like each team calls out, the captain calls out and selects people, and you're the last one standing that neither team wants. That's a fantastic feeling. I'm telling you, it's just.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. So about memorable answers that I did give, which like Shreyashi said, I do have a long list of answers that I did not give because I lacked conviction. So usually my brain sort of blanks or farts when there are questions in a general quiz about my subject. Like if there is a medicine question or something that a doctor is supposed to know, like, the quizmaster will be like, oh, there's a doctor in the house. And I'm like, oh God, like, and that's like a guarantee that I will not get it. Okay. Like people who have no clue about medicine will be able to sort of guess at it, but I will just blank because of the pressure. So I think I answered. So basically, there was a question about, I think this was in one of Major's quizzes. The question was about something about green and the color. It was something about the visual field, some effect, all of that, and it was a long question. And so this is a reason for what. And I was like, oh my God, I have this wasn't a Medi quiz or any Medi flavored quiz. I think this was in a general quiz. So I was thinking about a lot of other stuff. So we're all guessing. And then I was like, maybe this is why OT drapes and the OT scrubs are all green or blue. And so I was just like, that's in the operating theaters, what the drapes on the patient and the walls and all of that, it's sort of painted in a green color or a blue color, if you've noticed. And the clothes that we wear, the scrubs are also usually green. So apparently that is the reason our scrubs and this thing is also that it is not very jarring, and blood sort of shows up better against it. So that was a guess, and I got it right. And I was like, oh my God, for the first time in my life, something that I'm supposed to know, I do know. Okay, I feel very validated. So I think, that was a pretty nice, memorable question that I did get to answer.
I think most of us are talking about answers that we have given in the finals, but I remember one question where I was the only person in the whole auditorium, and this is like 500 teams, close to 1,500 people in the audience. And because it was an Ahmedabad SBI Yono quiz. And the question was, so this band, whatever, I think German band, has an album called Love at First Sting, right? I mean, if you want to guess.
Love at First?
Sting. Yeah.
Oh.
Love at First Sing.
Scorpions was the right answer. I think it's German, right?
Oh, First Sting. Okay.
Yeah, Sting.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, nobody else, because it was one of those questions which, I mean, you have to know that it's a German band and all of that. And I mean, I don't remember anything else, but this is a question from the prelims that I remember. Otherwise, most of us remember things from the finals, which help us win a quiz or something like that. Yeah.
I think the beauty of majors quizzes. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Shrikant. Yeah. So I think the beauty of majors quizzes, I think I've seen, is like, even if you qualify and finish last, or if you don't qualify, a lot of the answers, like if you work out, like you had no clue about, but simply by reading the questions, you work out and they turn out to be right, you get a great kick out of them. So I think a lot of those majors questions can tend to be like memorable answers sometimes. That's
the moment of quizzing, right? Like you sort of work out an answer. It's not. So I think to echo what Shreyashi said earlier, this is, the democratization of knowledge. So people who earlier, when I was a school quizzer, like internet hadn't permeated so much. This was like in the early 2000s, not so much. So you would have access like a person in a metro would have like access to a much better pool of resources than somebody in like a tier 2 or tier 3 city. So automatically you would be at a disadvantage when you go to another city to participate in a quiz. But now the internet is there, like everybody, pretty much everybody has it. And that is something great. But another thing I think the internet has done good to the world of quizzing is that we've sort of moved away from knowledge-based questions to like workoutable questions. So this is so I think that's really nice in the sense that even if you don't know the answer, like someone said, you get a kick out of trying to work it out. It's not you don't know it, so you don't know the answer types. So I think that's another nice thing that's come out of the internet being so pervasive right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I'm the only one who has this problem, but I do a terrible job of remembering questions of answers that I have given. Most of the time after a quiz, if you ask me what were the questions, the top 2-3 that come to mind are questions that I should have got and I haven't got. So when you ask this question, only those kind of questions kept cropping up in my mind. But just to a similar experience to what Abhinav described, there was this sports quiz in Calcutta. Some Chakladhar memorial quiz that happens every year. Supratim Chakladhar. It happened in the rowing club only. This was back in 2011 or 12, and I was just transitioning into open quizzes. And I used to always go and lose in Calcutta to open quiz. I used to just attend prelims and come back. And this one time I qualified for finals, and it was a sports quiz. And Calcutta sports just insane. But there was this one question that only I knew the answer in the entire auditorium or in the venue, and that was so they showed a chess board and they showed a knight and how it can move to all the squares, and asked us for a term for that. It's essentially called Knight's Tour, and the only reason I knew that was because it's also a programming assignment that you have to code. Given a starting position, you need to code a program to come up with a sequence of numbers where a knight can move across chessboard and cover every square, and not visiting any square more than once. So that was a huge kick back then. That was the only memorable one.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can move on to the next question. So my next question to everybody, pretty much. So some of the things that we're missing obviously are the pre and post things that happen in a quiz, right? Not just the knowledge base and all of that, the time with friends and all that. So what are some of your favorite or most memorable stories that you have had during or before and after a quiz? I think we can start with Pranav, who has not spoken in a while, I think.
Yeah, so I think cutting it too close to like missing a flight and you're on the stage and you like the Air India person is calling you on stage saying, "Dude, where are you? Like we are loading," and like I'm answering call and my friend is trying to buzz on the side. So like that was like probably my most hectic moment.
Was it at Calcutta by any chance?
No, this was at Hyderabad. So the Hyderabad airport is very, very far from the city, similar to Bangalore. So and I had the next day I had a test. So all these things, like too much of those were like I thought it was like some kind of a race against time, and I had to request the Air India person like, please hold the gate, we'll come. So yeah, that was very, very hectic. Like I think the entire travel aspect of quizzing is like probably the thing which I miss the most, like planning your travel and then.
So I lived in Delhi for the last 7 years before moving out this year. I lived in Gurgaon, and a lot of quizzes, as you would know, would happen in North Campus, Stephens or Ramjas or one of those places. So for me, whenever it's a huge undertaking traveling in a metro from Gurgaon to North Campus to attend quizzes. So whenever I used to go, it's obviously on a weekend. So when I come back, I get down in Chavdi Bazaar station, go to Jama Masjid area and eat. and carry all that food back home, so that my wife also has something to look forward to when I go out for quizzing. And that is something that I miss a lot. Not just as in that discovering places around Jama Masjid, primarily on these quizzing expeditions. And I think Central accompanied me a couple of times on these trails. I really love that. Yeah, I really love that place, and that is something that I miss quite a bit.
Yeah, I think a lot of things happened is that like thanks to quizzing, you get to explore a lot of like hidden corners of the city, like be it in whichever city you've lived in for a long time, which you would otherwise maybe not turn up at ever. Like, so you get to explore that corner of the city and the things you find out, like eateries or like say historical places, if you have not known of, by they say like loitering around that place before or after a quiz. So I think that is a huge gain thanks to quizzing. So, yeah, that has happened.
Yeah, I think my first ever solo trip, as in the trip I took in my adult life by myself, was because I went somewhere. I went to Calicut to attend the quiz. My best friend was studying over there, and I went to her college to attend a quiz over there. And this was probably in early days of college, so I had to lie to my parents saying, "Oh, two of my male teammates are coming with me, so I'm safe," and all of that. Obviously, nobody was coming. I was going by myself. So, yeah. So I had to do a lot of storytelling at home, and I had to tell my. So these were kids from my college who weren't able to make it with me for whatever reason. So I had to tell them also, like so that the story checks out in case my mom contacts him. So all of this I had to do, and yeah, I definitely miss traveling and traveling for quizzes.
There used to be a time in Calcutta during our college days when, we used to where the college quizzing circuit was around fests. Okay. So every college used to have their college fest, and quizzing was a big part of those fests. But a quiz would be scheduled for 11 a.m. and we would, of course, land up there at 10:30 or quarter to 11 or something, because we were completely vela in those days. And we would be sitting at 4 p.m. and the quiz wouldn't have started. So once we were quite mad and we said, okay, this has gone too far, so we must stage a protest. So the protest was, the college had a big playground. So we conducted a parallel quiz where all the quizzers who had turned up for the quiz, so they came and attended our quiz, and then we finished our quiz. It was a buzzer quiz. We finished it and we said, we are not taking part in your quiz, and we all left. So, things like that, of course, these are sort of things that you remember from your days of misspent youth.
I think that's the coolest protest story I've ever heard. Like the coolest protest.
And the quizmaster had arrived by then, and he was sitting in an empty auditorium, and everybody was in the playground doing buzzer quiz.
This is so cool.
Protest remind me of this incident one that happened, I think, during Zavotsav in St. Xavier's Fest in Kolkata. I think this is 2009. So they had this rule that they had the prelims on one day and the finals on another day. So I think we found out, like, we were sitting chilling in Pressy, in a college, I think half an hour before the quiz, someone informed that the prelims are today. So thankfully, we found 6 people in campus, so 2 teams of 3 each. We just took a taxi, and thankfully Xavier's is closed from Pressy. We landed up at Xavier's and hurriedly gave the prelims, and we came back. So we figured out later that I think both the Pressy teams had jointly topped the prelims. I think got 15 out of 25, but that was the highest score. So good, we landed up on the day of the finals. On landing up Xavier's, they had given us this rule that only 1 team per college is in the finals allowed. And Xavier's themselves had 2 slots in the finals reserved for themselves. So we were like, this is not done. And there was this huge ruckus during that. So we decided, okay, at least to delay things for the now. I think one of our teams, which was a senior team, they, I think, sat for the finals. We just sat in the audience sort of fuming and the injustice. So first round was over, and then suddenly, as in our the team which qualified reached the finals. So he, the leader of the team, Shayon, he is now in London. So he actually took up the microphone from the quizmaster, stood up, and with professors of Xavier's and all present, at the auditorium, he stood up and said that this is what happened. We were informed at the venue that this is only one team would be allowed. So in protest, we'll walk out. So they walked out of the quiz, and like both of us teams, like we just left the campus. So that was a memorable event. Yeah, in typical Kolkata style. Yeah. So,
It used to be so annoying. This used to happen to me in school quizzes, and this was like they used to have this rule in school quizzing that that you would only have one team per school in the final, and this was just completely like so infuriating all the time because it made no sense whatsoever to enforce this sort of thing. It was always annoying.
This rule actually gave birth to this thing called seeding quizzes in Jadavpur University in the late 80s and early 90s, because there was this, only one team per college. So there used to be an internal quizzing competition in JU to rank quizzing teams. So team rank 1 would go to X college fest for a quiz, rank 2 would go to some other college quiz. So that used to be a big event, seeding quizzes.
Yeah, I think if people want to enforce that rule, like, only one team per institution or something, they should put it in the brochure like prior to the quiz so that, people at least know, like you just go to the prelims and then they announce it there. It's super annoying. I think at least, when the quiz announcement is made, something like that. So like Shashidi said, you can have a seeding quiz or something, you can at least decide.
I think stepping away from travel, so after a quiz, so I was the one speaking on mic from my team. Somebody from the audience came up and told me that you should be a voiceover artist. I was like, what is that? This is a quiz in Anand. He really liked my voice. I don't know why. Probably because on the quiz I act like I'm pretty confident because you have to. I pick up a more baritone voice and probably something that he liked. And he came up to me and said, I was like, what?
See, alternate career path has opened.
That used to be the early kick for me when I started setting quizzes and being a quiz master. Because for that time being, when you are running a quiz, you are the most knowledgeable person in the room. You are the go-to guy for every verification and fact check and everything. And that was a kick initially. That quickly wore out once the work started. But yeah, that is a feeling of that's a very plus.
Another story I remember is during 2014-ish. So Ola and Uber had not yet permeated into Bhubaneswar. So we had to take autos. WhatsApp group and everybody used to come at the same time. We had to take an auto. And the thing was that the more people we get into it, the less money each of us has to pay, right? And me being thin, I had to slide in the dicky area pretty much on the back of the auto. And that is not allowed, obviously, anywhere. So whenever the police, whenever we used to cross a big crossroad or something, and me and another senior who is again smaller than me even, we used to just slide down and so that the police couldn't even be able to and pull the curtain thing, whatever is there, and we used to pull that. And just to save on the money, we used to put 9 people into the same auto. That was because that was across town. That is a quiz. Which happens about couple of times in a year, pretty much.
A similar thing happened to me again when I was in school. I think we went as a school. We went to some event for whatever. There was a quiz and there was other events. It must have been a school fest sort of a thing. But coming back, I think the last event to run was obviously the quiz. Always runs the longest. So only the quizzes were left, and the school didn't send a bus for the remaining people. But there was still more than enough people that could not fit in a car. But we were made to fit in a car. So they took essentially, it was like 9 or 10 people, basically somehow shoved them into the car, sitting on each other's lap, somehow made it back to school. I know when we reached back to school, it was like the moment from comedy movies and what you can remember. The moment the door opened, like 3 people fell out from different sides of the car. That was
Fairy.
So like one more memorable thing would be like I gave a online quiz this year in an auto. So I had to actually Crucible prelims was happening, and I had not scheduled my whatever I had planned. I'd gone to some place, and then I had not scheduled it properly. So it was 6 p.m. I was crossing the road and I was logging in to my account, and it was, yeah, I think I risked my life in that endeavor.
Is that everything that everyone has to say?
Okay, wait. I don't know if this counts. So I have one story.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
it's kind of a story of competitiveness, but I mean, I was in college, so I'm it's okay. So so there was a quiz. I don't know when. Around 16 or 17, around 16 or 17, there was a quiz in Rendezvous. It was an open quiz. Abhinav, you were there as well. I don't know if you were in. So it was me, Jayant, and either you or me, Jayant, and someone else. Not sure, but you were definitely there. But we didn't do much in it. It was an open quiz. It was like really bad. I remember sitting in the final rounds and being like, "Bhai, ho kya raha hai is quiz? I have no idea." Like being completely blank at everything. Anyway, so that happened. And the week after, there was a quiz in LSR by the same QM. So it was me and Jayant. And then we gave the prelims. And after the prelims, or during the prelims, we feel like this seems a bit familiar. Something's going on here. And after the prelims, Jayant is like, I think he's recycling not a lot, but a significant chunk of questions are being recycled from the open quiz on like not previous Sunday. So a habit that I used to have was when I would go to quizzes, especially open quizzes and stuff, I would write fundas down, like I would note it down to read later. And I always had that diary with me. I actually have it still here. And I would always have that diary with me. So the moment the prelims ended and we realized what was happening, while everyone was chilling and stuff, me and Jayant were in one corner, like opening the diary and going through each funda, like line by line, like you're remembering every single capital of the state, the country or something. We're just going through, okay, we need to do this before. And when the quiz started, there was at least like not a majority of them, but there was like a significant chunk, like 5 to 10 questions were basically like completely recycled. And I was just like...
There's a similar memory to this, I think, again, as Xavier's memory. So I think Xavier's once had a quiz sponsored by the Kindle magazine. So it was hosted by Porno Mukherjee. I think he was the quiz master. I think the name says it. So
we must have one or two porno things. Come on.
Absolutely. So I think before the quiz, I think after everyone registered, everyone got a copy of the Kindle magazine. Some people went through the magazine, some people skipped and chatted up. So I think when the quiz started, I think after first few questions, I saw a lot of people I think having this huge laughter, bursting into laughter. What is happening? So after the prelims, we figured out he had basically lifted all questions from the questions in a quiz in the Kindle magazine itself. The magazine had like 30 questions. He had taken the first 25 and asked it in the quiz. So people who had read them, they could answer it. People who didn't, they couldn't. So
my biggest quizzing regrets is never sitting for a porno quiz.
Same.
Yeah, same thing.
Left out.
Yeah. So in 25, the cutoff was 24, of course.
Like, I heard he used to make questions from the newspaper the day of the quiz.
Yeah.
Or just make up fundas anyway, like that were completely just not true.
There was this one thing that Pornav used to do, which was anything under the sun. Okay, so no cards. So this was long before projections and stuff. So there used to be these cards. No cards. So look, ma, no cards. So he'd say, okay, anything under the sun. You give me a topic. So some smart ass team said Peloponnesian mythology. Okay. So thinking, okay, now I've got him. And he just, cooked up some funda and the answer was Thor and Odin. Okay. So they said, how is this Peloponnesian mythology? So he said, go and look it up in Encyclopedia Britannica. They have very close connections. Nordic and Peloponnesian, very closely connected.
This reminds me of that very old quizzing funda of a polar bear doing their hands above their face to evidently stay white. Have you guys not heard of this? This used to be a school funda. So I've encountered this in a school quiz and I've heard a lot of people have as well, and it's complete bullshit. It's not true. So the question goes something like this, that when polar bears are hunting in wherever they're hunting, Arctic, right? Not Antarctic.
Yeah.
Arctic, yes. Got that right. So when they're hunting, they're completely white, which has
Climate change, bro. It's climate change. Like you can say whatever now. It's going to be true in a few years.
Exactly. But yeah, so when they're hunting, they're like completely camouflaged because they're like completely white. But the only part of their body that's not white is their eyes. So what do polar bears do? to get around this so that so when they're hunting, that people like the animals, the seals or whatever, don't see them. The apparent answer is when they're hunting, they put their hands above their eyes. This happened to me in 12th grade in a final of a quiz, like a inter-army school quiz. And I was just like, what? Like at that time, my mind was blown. Like a few years later, I found out this is complete bullshit. And I think this is probably, I've heard from some people that I think this was also at some point of time in a Pornhub quiz, this funda.
Listen, do any of you know if this guy is doing online quizzes? Because one of my regrets in life is that I've never seen a quiz.
He's conducting quizzes on, I mean, he's part of a quiz on Flipkart pretty much. So you can go to that and see.
Okay.
I am hard from Flipkart quizzing, so I can't go and participate. You guys can do that.
Wait. What? Repeat. I couldn't get you. Like he's part of Flipkart now.
No. He's
quizzes for Flipkart
segment. Yeah. Flipkart quiz segment. So he's just there.
Wait,
marketing.
Flipkart has quizzes?
Yeah, that's also another.
All apps need engagement
They don't
numbers.
pay you.
I won a TV from Flipkart quizzes also.
Really?
Wait.
But not in real life.
Wow.
That is your pin tweet, no, Abhinav?
Yeah. They have not given me a mobile.
Yeah. Correct.
But TV they gave you.
Yeah, they gave me TV. I won a couple of power banks, 7 to 8 earphones, 8%.
What is this?
Deliver a box of
Go
bricks.
around and set up a shop on Flipkart, just selling that stuff back.
I've gifted it to sisters and all.
No, I think this is like, I'm going to participate in one of these because it's like, two birds with one stone. Like I get to sit in a Pornhub quiz and who knows, I might win a power bank. Like,
Yeah, as long as they don't deliver a box of bricks or something.
it's Flipkart, you never know, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is a good point to stop. We've been on for around 1.5 hours now.
Yep.
So yeah, thank you guys, all our guests. They've taken time out of their schedules for us. And usually we have a lot of going back and forth on deciding a date. But luckily everyone was like super nice to us and just agreed to whatever we asked for. So thanks for that. Also, so we did this because it's our first year anniversary. So thanks a ton to all our subscribers or followers across social media. We would have shut shop like in 2 months if you guys hadn't like followed us or appreciated us. And hopefully we'll come back with a new video or a new season of Whose Question Is This soon. Yeah. And
That was a lot of fun, guys.
Happy
It was a lot of fun, and
anniversary.
thanks for having us all.
Are we supposed to say like, share, subscribe? Because
yes,
that's
because
like,
we never
share,
do. So
Somewhere here,
The fact that you've mentioned it, it's done.
yeah. Like click the bell icon for notifications.
Like,
Smash that like button.
Seems like a childhood dream. Like press the bell icon.
Neighborhood kids like this. This was
it
good
was
fun.
great fun, guys.
Yeah. A lot of
Yeah,
fun.
didn't feel like 1.5 hours at all.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.